We're talking here about how cities, communities, governments can really work with the creative class and create protections, incentives, just a really good environment. And all your worlds, whether it's entertainment, finance, media, usually have protections in the governments or special statuses. Creators, not yet. But I want to start with Woody, because you came here last year and you met some great folks in Dubai, and you've been working with the city. And I want to hear your perspective.
Do you know what? A little bit of credit's got to go to you as well, Steve, because you introduced me to a great guy called Mohammed, who's the MD of the World Government Summit, and
I'll tell you the kind of scotch I like. You can send me a bottle for that.
Yeah. So credit to you for that. But do you know what? Obviously meeting him and obviously the way that they do things over here, everything's so collaborative. Everyone's trying to help each other. Everyone's trying to move forward. What's the next big thing? What's happening? And people like him were just like ready to connect us, and through him met people in like Dubai tourism and so on, and got in contact with like the Creators HQ, which is obviously a hub here, which is for content creators, and the way Dubai do it is absolutely unbelievable. And there's people obviously that come and go who come into this country, into the UAE, and see some of the stuff which is going on. And it is so forward thinking. And there's people that are coming for like 24, 48 hours. And then when you see how everyone's operating and what's going on, there's so much opportunity. And these people here are really embracing it with the support network, financially, and so on. So I can't speak highly enough of the place, to be honest with you. I mean, since August, I've been here like 6 times. So we're working on trying to get out here because it'd probably be financially more beneficial rather than going back and forth. But it's just an awesome place, so forward thinking.
That's awesome. Chris, you're coming from Europe. You're in Switzerland. What is the kind of the vibe in Switzerland and kind of mainland Europe with creators right now? Like, what are you seeing?
I think mainland Europe is still quite behind. I think Dubai has done an amazing job creating an amazing infrastructure. I think a lot of creators in Europe struggle with tax, legal infrastructure. We don't always know which bracket we are. Europe can definitely learn a lot from the US, but tourism agencies are slowly picking up and inviting and relying more and more on creators. So it's definitely good news.
In Switzerland, everyone loves those viral après-ski parties that everyone's trying to imitate. So you guys have that going, which is good. I want to go to one of those for sure.
We do, yeah. Every month or so, we have all the billionaires and the high society coming to Switzerland, which is great for my content. I do high society comedy, so it's perfect. They come to us.
Jeannette, what are you seeing coming from news professional, journalist professional into your own your own news channel now, your own media channel?
Independent journalists are increasingly becoming a thing in the U.S. You have a little more freedom. You have a little more ability to decide what it is that you want to cover. But of course, there's not as much structure as there is in news. As you know, you literally answer to someone, and there's a higher expectation in terms of ethics and credibility and all of that, on top of more resources, right? So it's been interesting to make this shift from news to social media. I will say the hardest part for me, I think, has been in news. You're the messenger, not the message. In social media, it kind of goes back and forth. I think there's a bit of a more personal connection that you have with your audience. And it's great in some ways, and it's challenging in others because you're trained a certain way. But I enjoy it overall.
Do you feel going from a traditional journalist to an independent journalist, do you feel the same amount of protections, or do you feel you're a little bit more exposed out there as an independent?
I think you're a little more exposed. I will say I don't lean as much into journalism as I used to back when I was in news. I would show the inner workings, the behind the scenes. How is it that we get a story? And I encourage my fellow journalists who are still very much in the industry to do that in order to build trust. But I do think once you decide to be an independent journalist, you lose a little bit of the protection, just even from having a large media company that can back you if you were to run into trouble. You benefit from the legitimacy that they've built over decades, right? Whereas you're kind of starting from scratch when it comes to larger organizations and the government perhaps having the same kind of respect. that you would give a large media organization. But I think on the flip side, your audience tends to trust you a little bit more. So it's a trade-off.
If you were all magically the mayors of your cities, what would you do first if you wanted to attract, creators, more social media as an industry to come to your spot? What's like one key thing that would really help the business?
I mean, first of all, there's got to be that support network, hasn't there? And there's got to be that, you got to gain those sort of relationships on that sort of level. And I think that if you're supporting the creator economy and you're bringing people in, it's important to know kind of what they're doing, what's their message is, what they're getting up to, and then trying to piece those things together, and it's so important for governments to be embracing this now, because we, as creators, have obviously got an audience. When you've got an audience, you've got a community, and that community is bought into what we're doing, how we're doing it, and you can send powerful messages through it. I know we do some silly videos a lot of the time, but we've got a connection, and if you've got a connection, you can have obviously a lot of impact. So, yeah.
I would say offer resources and spaces, creative hubs, so that creators can get to know each other. Support, because in the end, creators they own a business. If you're doing it the right way, right? You have a business, you're an entrepreneur. So making sure when it comes to taxes, legal protections, recourse, that type of thing, that you're offering that kind of support. And also introducing them to the different industries in the city, so that there's a higher chance of industry collision, so that creators can connect with people from all walks of life. And really what as the mayor of the city, I would say you're essentially creating an environment where you have this army of storytellers. And it's free PR, right? For your city that's authentic and that's real and that's humanized. And the fellow residents of the city are more likely to believe what comes from those creators, it's just the way it is, than they are from a government platform.
Chris, how about you? What would be on your wish list?
Yeah, I think it's really about creating a win-win environment. Networking is super important. Your network is your net worth. So you want your creators to be able to collaborate, know each other, share best practices, and also on the government side, just introduce them to state-owned companies, to your major companies in nationwide or citywide. You want to make those introductions. You want to make it as easy for them as possible, because they are the voice of the city, and people trust them.
One thing I'll actually add, you mentioned something that reminded me. I think I would also be receptive to feedback from these creators. We kind of have this immediate feedback loop. We can see it in the numbers, in the comments, and how our followers are reacting to different types of content. And I think a city that uses their creators as people, boots on the ground, to figure out, is a policy working? Is this effective? Should we lean into this? I think it's a great way to get better and figure out what's going on beyond your government offices or buildings.
Yeah, I mean, I'm at Forbes, and we believe in the free market and capitalism, and government's important, but it can only do so much. And you're mentioning the communities and the ecosystems. All these cities and towns have their own creator communities. Like, you just moved to New York, which I'm sure has a much more robust community group than where you were before. And Woody, we've met some great London creators. Like, tell me about like the current communities in your places, and the importance of the group together, and kind of building like a Silicon Valley, so to speak, of creators.
So, I mean, we started like 13 years ago when we got into social media, and in the UK, the sort of like mindset's a little bit more closed. We found like going back kind of many years, we was like the sort of content that we would be doing on social media was a lot of skits, sketches. And we'd travel out to LA quite a lot to like shoot content, and then try and like connect with a lot of the creators over there. And we found that when you go to America, everything was so much more open. Everyone was just so up for collabing. So for argument's sake, when we first went, I mean, we've got like 50 million followers now, but we had like 250K on Instagram. Reached out to like Amanda Cerny and was like, we're in town, we'd love to shoot with you. Thinking that this isn't really going to happen, you know. Straight away got a DM back, yeah, what's your idea? Throw it across, and if I'm free, we can go and do it. And we end up shooting with her, shooting with Peaks, and these guys were like the OGs within what we were doing, and like we was kind of looking to them for a lot of like inspiration in what we were doing. And we found that when we left the UK, that's when we kind of got a lot more opportunity. And then through that experience, when you go to different places and you fall upon that, you kind of really search for that. And that's what I found so amazing about coming here to Dubai, because it is a creator hub. I feel that it's like the hub for content creators. And the more time I spend here, the more I realize there's so much opportunity. And it honestly, like, there's not a person who I meet who doesn't want to help you. It's always like you finish your conversation and you have so many amazing conversations where the end line is, if there's anything I can do for you, just call me. And I love it, and I think that this is the place for that. And I think cross-collaboration in a place like this is so, so powerful. And that's why I'm like a big advocate for it. And anyone I speak to, I'm like, if you're going to leave where you live, if you're going to move anywhere, I mean, look, in America, you can move from one state to another. You may as well just come to Dubai if you're going to move from obviously one state to another and what have you. So I kind of put it out there to people that come and explore it, come and see what it's about, meet people, and so on. So I kind of try and see that on if I can.
I'm just curious, you know, you've been doing this for 13 years. Has the London community and kind of London environment changed or opened up more towards social media since?
Things just like, I mean, I don't know, guys. I'd love to know kind of from your experience in terms of your countries and so on. But I just find that there's like cliques. And if you don't kind of fit into that clique, everyone's just very like protective of what they do. And that's why I loved, like, when I went and I was exposed to like people out in America, it wasn't, there was no cliques. It was kind of like, you got a good idea? Let's do it. And it didn't matter on your size, you know. And I think that we kind of try and do the same moving on, you know. So when someone comes to us, it's kind of like, yeah, what's your idea? What are you doing? Let's help each other, you know. And I think that goes around, you know. So like, it's not about just collabing with someone because they've got a massive following, you know. If they've got a great idea, that can obviously go viral and that can put you on a map and you can get seen by a different audience, you know. So like, followers and subscribers don't mean anything anymore, you know. Like, everything's about like the For You page and so on. Like, we got 10 million on TikTok. What does that even mean? It just looks great. It's a vanity metric. It's just there. But yeah, real connection, real stories, taking people on journeys and connecting with people. That's when you have the real impact, you know. And you can do that with absolutely anyone. And I think that when you do it with creators who are up and coming, they're even more hungry. So yeah, I don't know whether I've deviated off of your question completely there, but kind of shows you the impact that a place like this can have on someone like myself, you know.
Very cool. What are you seeing, Chris? What's your community like? Or are you kind of a solo entrepreneur over there?
No, I mean, you're convincing me to move to Dubai. So
Yeah.
might do that.
I'll walk you around to the Creators HQ after. I'm a big advocate for it. They're around the corner. They've got a great setup.
I'm fairly new to the social media game. I just started a year ago. I think in my space, we have very little creators. I can only think of a couple: Shta Guy, European Kid, maybe My Tech CEO. And we definitely collaborate. We all talk to each other. But I do agree with Woody. I mean, in Europe, it's fairly closed. It's not as spontaneous. I had some US creators come to Geneva. I mean, call me the night before. Hey, if I come to Geneva, are you ready to film? I'm like, yeah, sure, let's go. In Europe, it's more you agree on the script, you agree on the idea. It's way less spontaneous. So I think, yeah, Europe can definitely learn from the US and Dubai.
How about your experience? Because you just moved. You moved from DC to New York.
Yeah, like
that's a big jump when it comes to creators, at least.
It is. I mean, they're spot on as far as the U.S. obviously being a little more spontaneous and open in the creative sense. But going from D.C. to New York, there's a bit of a difference there as well. So I was a news anchor in D.C. For many years, and then I decided to do content creation full time. For news anchoring, for journalism, DC, great, right? I mean, it's policy, it's government, it's crime, it's all the things. But
too much news coming out of DC.
It's entirely too much, yes. Actually. My colleagues have been working overtime. But when I went into content creation, suddenly the environment just wasn't as conducive for content creation. And for a number of reasons, you're not going to really run into brands in DC as a content creator. There aren't a lot of activations or activities. But I also think the way creative spaces and the jobs are looked at are very different. In DC, it's the degree, it's formal training, it's impact driven, it's tied to policy. So it takes a little bit of justification, both in terms of the conversations that you're having with people, but also to get a lot done. Whereas in New York, I mean, it's like creative central. You know, whatever you're doing, as long as you're passionate and you got hustle, this is the place for you. So for me, it was a no-brainer. And I moved to New York City a couple of weeks ago after visiting 3-4 times a month for the past year or so. And already the content feels more organic. You're more likely to run into another creator. And like they said, you can do something on the spot. And the other thing that's great, I have a little bit of social anxiety when it comes to like doing a skit or something in public, shooting something. New York, they don't care what you're doing, just get out of the way. Yeah. And it's amazing. I mean, it's cured my social anxiety because no one's looking.
They see cameras like, whatever, move on.
Exactly. Yeah. It's amazing. So yeah, I think a lot of places in the US and also around the world could learn a lot from New York, both from its people, but also from its local government.
Can I ask a quick question? What made you go from like mainstream journalism into going into social media? Like, why did you make that change and make that jump?
Gosh, it was a number of reasons. There's a lot more freedom that I wanted and flexibility.
Yeah.
There's also I don't know if a lot of people don't know this, but in news, it's a conflict of interest to have any outside job, right? So like if I did a brand deal with Nike and now Nike's involved in a scandal, but they just cut me a check and I'm reporting on them, you're probably going to wonder how objective I am. So if it were up to me, I would have stayed in news. And ultimately, I just hit a crossroads where I had to choose one or the other. But what I like to say is, I am a storyteller and I love storytelling, and social media is a different way to tell a story. And for me, it gives me the ability, especially with the podcast that I have now called Off the Record, it gives me the ability to tell the stories I want to tell and not have a minute 15
you do it in your way,
limit.
Right?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think news still has its place, very much so.
Yeah.
But more and more, the younger generations, ours included, just take it in a different way, and they want more authenticity, and they want news anchors and journalists to be human first.
Yes.
And it's okay to show your humanity in terms of the way you're delivering the news. Awesome. Yeah.
Say like even in traditional media now, everyone wants the journalists to also be brands and faces, but that's a whole, like it's doing two different jobs, different skill sets, and also a whole lot more time and already a full plate. So it's tricky for sure.
Yeah, you know firsthand, absolutely.
Are there any, and obviously we talked about New York, LA, Miami, Dubai with creators. Are there any other cities and areas you've been to where you've been surprised and been like, wow, this is a great spot for creators, anywhere in other locales?
It's an interesting one, actually. Carl, you got me stumped with that one, to be fair, because most of the time, if we left the UK, like we're kind of in our own little bubble. So like we've got our team, and when people come on and they work for us, they're not just coming on as like an editor or a cameraman. Like we look at a personality as well, because a lot of our content, it's good to get them involved, because then you can gain some really good chemistry. It spices things up at times and so on. And people relate to different people, right? So if we can bring on a cameraman who's a different character, then there's someone out there who could be watching our content and they won't resonate with me or Kleiny, for argument's sake, but they might buy into Fran, you know? So you've got a chance of actually connecting with another person that you wouldn't normally, you know? And I won't go into and bore you with a lot of the frameworks in our online course that we're developing, but there's these things play into that sort of stuff. And I just found that, like, in the UK, we're kind of built our own little world within what we do. We've got our creator house and so on. And we always found it quite hard collaborating with people, you know, in the UK. But then the places that we did go to, we levitated back to America a lot, you know. So we went to LA. I think we've done like 4 trips in the summer.
What's the percentage of your audience that's in the US?
Oh, okay, yeah. So we're like global, really. Uh-huh. So a lot of people would think from the UK and what have you, it'd be really, but like our 2 biggest audiences across the board is US and UK, but we're very global, and we're talking like small percentages, and we've got like audiences in like India, Philippines as well, like Australia, Germany, and so on. We're very broad sort of thing. So any brands out there who are very global, we're here.
It's fascinating. No matter where you're based with creators, your audience is going to be totally global, opposed to again, like if you're the DC news reporter, you're probably just reaching the DC area. But you post something, it goes viral, or your fan base could be everywhere. So
and what's great is, and I'm sure you found this as well, like people are receptive even to something that's not in their own language. You know what I mean? Like if they have subtitles or something like that, it's just great that the world has caught up to that.
Yeah. It's probably a little bit tougher for you when you're doing what you're doing, because a lot of it, in order to get your stuff across, people have got to hear and understand and listen to what you're doing, right? So because as we know, like two of the biggest things is basically people watching social media. I mean, don't quote me on the percentages here because they may have changed, but I think 70% at one point of content consumed on social media was in silence. So it's important to make it as visual as you possibly can, or get your content into a position where it hooks someone into want to then turn on and listen to what's going on. Do you find that that's quite tough with what you do in terms of trying to obviously get that, because your messages are coming through, they have to listen to you, right, in order to get it across. But like you say, you can use subtitles, which works, but you want people to listen to you, right, and get the tone and the feeling, right?
That's a great question. I think it depends on the kind of relationship that you have with your audience. I think if you've built a lot of trust, if you have a track record of good content that's value driven, they're more likely to be open to something that perhaps they would have to read subtitles for, maybe visually. Just the bar isn't as high. I think you get a little more leeway in that respect. I have found, because I do have some Spanish content as well. My family's from the Dominican Republic, and I'm raising my daughter to be bilingual, so we've done some content there. And I've been shocked at the number of people who are entirely Spanish speaking or English speaking, and they're in the comments answering each other's questions. Like, what did she say here? Oh yeah, she said this, or, and it's been great. Like the cultural connections often make for the most valuable content, because you're giving people an opportunity to share what they learned with or what they know with someone else.
That's a great spot to end on. I really appreciate everybody. That went way too fast. Woody, Chris, Jeannette, thank you so much. Thank all of you for your time and attention. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.